the big challenge people have is they're struggling to balance multiple things in their life. By that I mean they're struggling to balance family, work with training, and as a byproduct of struggling to balance them, weight is often something they really struggle with. And I know one of your most popular videos is around cutting weight for cyclists. What's the core information in that I know that's a couple of years old now that you would still stand by, or what's your amended version of that advice to people looking to chop a bit of weight now look like?
I think that weight loss video probably needs an update because it is a couple years old, but I haven't changed my general stance on that. I stand behind a lot of the research that supports this kind of low calorie density approach. And low calorie density just means the foods that you're eating are low in calorie density. So there's not a lot of calories in a large volume of food. And what that essentially means is that you're going to be eating unprocessed, healthier foods, which is also better for your health. These unprocessed foods are lower in calorie density. And the reason why that approach seems to work is because they just take up more, more volume and leave you more full while you're consuming less calories. And there is research to back that up. I'm not just, pulling that out of my ass there. There is research to back that up. Give people 2 meals. One is low calorie density, one is high calorie density. They consume more calories when they do the high calorie density. And then that turns into weight loss or weight gain down the road. So I stand by that approach. And I think that if people are counting calories or they're trying to restrict, eventually they're going to fail because it's impossible to live in a state of hunger. You can do it for a while, but
sustainability is so fashionable now and trendy, and everyone's like, that eating pattern's not sustainable. And it's like, okay, well, that's cool. But also a friend of mine saving for a mortgage right now, and he saves 90% of his monthly income saving for his mortgage. That's not sustainable, but it gets a large chunk of cash saved in a short space of time, and then he can move back to a pattern that's sustainable. Is there anything wrong with a similar dietary approach where it's calorie restriction and then just going back to maintenance calories?
Well, I think it depends on what your goal is. I mean, is your goal to cut weight for a race and all you care about is being lightweight for that one race and you don't care about what your weight is afterwards? Then I think you could make the argument for something like that. But if you want to be at a healthy weight for your entire life, you need to find something that you can maintain for your entire life. So it depends on what your goal is what I'd say.
We've such a unique relationship in a very bad way with weight and cycling. I came up racing with a French team, and we literally it'd be like the FBI raiding your house. Like the director would burst in at unknown times searching for carbohydrates around the house. And we'd be stuffing croissants into the washing machine and putting dirty clothes in on top of them. That was our hiding place. Everything, baguettes, croissants, all into the washing machine with dirty kit on top of them. And he didn't look in there. But a lot of that has seeped down from, French amateur level into, Cat 1, Cat 2, Cat 3. And you see guys who are just totally fanatical about weight.
Yeah. I've never been on a road team like that had that culture, but I've had friends who have been in that culture and in that culture right now. I did have a roommate he's a professional road racer. Right after college, we would have a competition every morning where we'd weigh ourselves and see who weighed less.
Healthy.
Yeah. And then later that day, we'd have another competition to see who rode more miles that day. So it was...
How, on the flip end of that one, how high have you played around with your carbohydrate intake per hour?
During racing?
Yeah.
I'm usually around 90 to 100 grams per hour. I know that there are riders that are pushing that beyond that. Probably something that I should play around with. If I go really high, I do start to get GI issues. So, and when you're doing that too, it is important that you've got, the optimal ratio of certain carbohydrates like maltodextrin to fructose. Because, for example, if you were to just do 100 grams per hour of straight maltodextrin, you'd be much more likely to get GI issues than if you were to have a split between the two in the optimal ratio.
And when you say you're 90 to 100 grams per hour, are you tracking that just off the food labels, or are you using the biometric sensor like Super Sapiens?
No, I'm not using Super Sapiens. I do want to get my hands on on Super Sapiens. I have used a continuous blood glucose monitor, but it was not Super Sapiens, and I didn't find it that user friendly because I could only look at the data after the ride. But on that note, this is something that I bring up quite frequently on podcasts when we start talking about blood glucose monitors. Blood glucose monitor is cool, and I think there's application for it. But what I think would revolutionize training, just like the power meter revolutionized training, is if they came out with a continuous blood lactate monitor. That's what I want to see.
Cool.
And as soon as a continuous blood lactate monitor is available, I'm buying it. And the reason is because there would be no need to ever do an FTP test again. You could see, and you don't even need to know what your FTP is. You can just see if you're over your lactate threshold or not in real time, and you could do a zone 2 ride perfectly. It would be incredible.
Dylan, you're a gent. Really appreciate it. And yeah, sure, we'll stay in touch.
So if you like this video, you should definitely check out this video because I know you're going to love it. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.